Hey everyone, welcome back to Podcast Coaching for Kingdom Entrepreneurs. I am your podcast host, your podcast coach, Kristen Chadwick, and I'm here to answer your questions in 10 minutes or less on this podcasting Q&A day. Today's question, I personally have never been asked this point blank, but I know it's there right underneath the surface of most podcasters, purely because the latest statistics that just came out with Alex Sanfilippo with Podcasting Made Simple and Podmatch, the February edition, it says that on average, it takes 2 years and 100 episodes released before podcasters start to see results. Unfortunately, 95.8% quit before reaching that point. And if you want to hear more statistics of 2025, go back and listen to my episode where I'm answering the question on what are those 2025 statistics. Really fascinating. But today, I'm going to be answering this major underneath the surface question of, Kristen, what if I want to quit? How do I avoid PodFade? How do I avoid podcast burnout? We've heard about burnout. We've heard about burnout in business, and it can absolutely happen in podcasting. So how do we avoid being part of that 95% that are quitting before they're starting to see results? So I'm going to run through some scenarios, and maybe one of these real life scenarios of some podcasters that I have met over the years. Maybe some of their stories are going to resonate with you. So this is for you. If you are feeling any of these feelings that I'm about to walk through. Number one, you knew you wanted to start a podcast without much thinking and you just jumped right in and you went for it. It was brave, it was bold. And now you're 40 episodes in. You are looking at your download numbers and you feel discouraged. You're not seeing the results come in, or asking the question of who else besides my mom listens to this show. Or you might be in this scenario. You started your podcast, you've interviewed a ton of guests. You've had half the year full of interviews and conversations, but then by the time it was all published, you weren't sure where to go. So you are considering quitting. Or maybe you're like one podcaster who was thriving in their podcast and could feel this growing resentfulness that she had to show up again and again and again and create content and not the outcome. She was burned out. Or maybe you've recorded 10 episodes and they are still sitting on your computer, but the thought of editing or show notes or publishing or promoting the episode, it sounds completely daunting. So you haven't done anything. Or maybe you feel you've got nothing left to give as you sit down to record. I know I have been there when I have been in a season of burnout. It's so hard to press record if I feel like I have nothing left to give. Or maybe you resonate with this. You have started and stopped so many times over your podcast over the years that you're ready to just throw in the towel and you think, maybe podcasting isn't for me. If this is you on any of those scenarios, I'm speaking to your heart. Each of these scenarios are different examples of burnout, of overwhelm, pod fade, whatever you want to call it. And I want to sit down and hear what's going on in your life. And unfortunately, I can't because of this medium. I can't hear what's going on, but I know by having my finger on the pulse of podcasting and our membership and our communities and podcasters that I'm sitting down with, I know that this is so common. We are whole human beings. And so we have to stop and take a look at what is happening in your life, around your life right now. And so I would ask you these following questions. Number one, where are you currently finding rest? Not just a planned vacation, which is nice and lovely, but where are you daily finding rest? I know some of you, your words are like, focused, driven, Um, it could be all about growing. Even in the harvest season, we can still find rest. And I would suggest you unplug from social media, from creating, from consuming anything else. More information will not bring you out of burnout. Unplug for a week and just get outside. Go for a hike. Go for a walk. Be with people that you love and actively ask the Lord for refreshment and vision for moving forward. And sometimes, friend, you just need a nap. I'm not kidding. You sometimes we just need to go and take a nap. I had a business coach, shout out to Gretchen Heinen. I remember she would say this all the time is, yeah, sometimes you just need a nap. It's actually not that big of a deal until after you take a nap and you realize it wasn't that big of a deal because you just needed to go to sleep. So that rest absolutely can be a sleep component. And it can also be you just need rest from consumption and continually spitting out content. And that is okay, my friend. Number 2, what is giving you life? Where is joy in your life right now? When is the last time that you've laughed, played, or enjoyed consuming uplifting content? Not just because, not just, no, just for because, like, just doing content just to giggle. I know my husband and I, we will have, 1 or 2 nights a week where my sisters send a bunch of reels, and they're hilarious, and so we just sit there and I'm not kidding, my face hurts at the end of watching these reels because it is a highlight of of our night of that week, and I really just love having, like, 1 night a week where we can give ourselves permission to just laugh and scroll, and that's okay. Um, One thing that's really important is to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing, not simply for content creation or gathering information. Just watch a movie for the watching of the movie. Just read a book for the sake of reading a book. Go for a walk with a friend or just sit down and play with your children and just be all in. Give your all. Yes, I just heard a podcaster of mine, she said on her show, be where your feet are planted. And I love that. Turn off the distractions. Number 3, this question is there anything that you can take off your plate? Sometimes when we are burnt out, it's because we are burning the candle at both ends. Are you in a season of taking a leap of faith to hire someone to help you? Whether it's editing or social media or house cleaning or asking family to help. And that can be scary, my friends. I have been there multiple times where I've hit a ceilings where I can't do anymore. And so it is a leap of faith because you're financially, you might not look like you're quite there to hire somebody, but I guarantee you, if you are right there on the edge and you take that investment and you give it to somebody else, you're buying time back, which is invaluable. And you're not only helping somebody else bring in income and do something that they love doing, but you're also providing more time for you to take things off of your plate. And what can you say no to that's on your plate right now, so that you can fully give your full yes? And I'm going to plug one of our podcast management clients, Dr. Phyllis Hayes Reams. She has a podcast called Own Your Yes. It used to be called Joy Fueled Resilient Women. So, for some reason, you have trouble finding it right now as you are listening to this. I'm pretty sure by the time this comes out, it will be Own Your Yes. And so go check out this episode called Too Much on Your Plate. It is beautifully put together as someone who is a coach to resilient women. I encourage you to go listen to it. Then the last question is, where can you find support? Not just delegating, but finding support for you. As a kingdom entrepreneur, I would ask, how is your heart? Who is plugging into you? Who is pouring into you? Many of you are leaders in this space. Pouring into others is what you do. You do it in your home, you do it in your work, you do it in church, in your community. But we all need somebody to pour into us, a mentor, a guide, a leader, because you are in this industry of podcasting. And if you are following podcast coaching for kingdom entrepreneurs, you know that my mission here is to empower you to create a kingdom impact. And you give all day long and you create content to serve, to help people. But who is mentoring and leading you? So I encourage you to lock arms with people who are growing, who are a little bit further along in life than you, whether it's somebody who's specifically in podcasting or business or motherhood, whatever. Find somebody who you're like, I want to know how you did this. They are uplifting and encouraging. Another place too, I'm going to plug our podcast membership, where you're going to find people that are a little bit ahead of you, a little bit behind you, so you can mentor them too. But this is where you can find support, specific support around podcasting. So all of these scenarios that I mentioned at the beginning, it comes back to recognizing this need that we have for others. And I think the statistic that was put out by Podmatch is really a wake-up call. And we need Holy Spirit to guide us in this process of podcasting in whatever season we're in all of our life, our whole life. This podcast used to be called holistic podcasting for that very reason, because it's not like you can just talk about podcasting, because you as a podcaster are a full human being and Holy Spirit cares about all of it. So before you burn out, my friend, or get discouraged by lack of growth and quit, I encourage you to reach out. Maybe it's not the podcast that's burning you out, but something that the Lord is bringing up to your attention to lay down even for a season. All right, that's it for today. I look forward to next week answering your questions, and please feel free to send in your own questions. I'd love to answer them, and you can always record your voice and promote your podcast here on the podcast coaching for kingdomentrepreneurs.com website. I would love to answer your questions. All right, take care. Bye-bye.